What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. So, yesterday I saw a comment regarding the video I did yesterday, I believe. Yeah, it was in regards to yesterday's video, the most treacherous prison system in America. Talking about California, the California Department of Corrections, and David Starr made a comment. And I want to read the comment, and then I want to make a video about it. David Starr said, "Whites have an easier time in Cali than Florida, where you have no protection." David, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Who do you think they have protection? Like, who protects the whites? Is the first question. And then I'm going to answer that. The whites protect the whites. See, this goes back to why California politics are in place, and why there are expectations on everyone, no matter which faction you run with, right? See, us in California, we hear about how in other states, especially like Alabama. Anyways, I'm not going to name other states. In other states outside of California, we hear about whites being raped, blacks being raped, Mexican, like whoever, people get raped. I said that word so many damn times, I'm probably in trouble. You don't hear that in California because of the politicking. See, if someone outside of the whites moves against a white dude, all of the whites are going to react. If someone moves on a black dude outside of the blacks, all of the blacks are going to get involved, and it goes down the line. So you're not going to have somebody punking somebody. There's no lone wolves. In California, you're going to pick something. Doesn't mean you have to politic, but you will fall in line with the politics of your faction, if that makes sense. Now, to say that the whites in California have it easier than in Florida, the whites are a very, very, very dangerous group in the Department of Corrections. They have, to become a legend for them, they have a pretty strict criteria. And, you know, it's like with other groups is when you make it to that level, you're supposed to be the cream of the crop of your faction, right? So when I hear this, that they have it easier, they've made things just like every other faction in California. They have made things livable by the politics that are pushed and adhered to by all groups here. See, in Florida, all that heart check that you guys do, like to a California cat, I think it's foreign, because it's like you're not gonna fist fight on a level 4 yard. Like, a dude comes in, and if he has to fight 4 or 5 dudes, he's probably gonna want to stab him after it's over, because that's the mentality over here, right? Like, how the fuck is this Vato think he's gonna put his hands on me? Whether you win or lose, you're gonna be like, nah. Okay, so you tested my heart. Now I'm gonna test yours. You go get a piece and you whack him and see, does he come back? Does he patch it up? Okay, now you want to be friends? All right. You did it your way, I did it my way. The states, the two separate states, Florida and California, have a different way of doing things. You know, like I remember when some of the Florida channels came out, man, and you know, the stuff that we're doing, you know, it's I don't know if the I don't really want to say their names, but those guys that came out and It didn't seem like they were in high level prisons. But I don't know. I don't know how Florida is set up. But I know over here in California, like all that running around with a cell phone on you and videotaping your surroundings. Out here in California, depending on who you run with, that could bring some very serious problems to you very fast. Because what that does is it sends the juras to your section. It gives them the right. It gives them the opportunity to tear up everybody's house. Weapons could be found. Dope can be found. Phones can be found. Businesses interrupted. Somebody might, in order to keep what they got or to give their cellie enough time to get rid of it, somebody might have to fucking whack a cop at the door while the cellie's putting things away or breaking things down. And if it's because of a guy down the tier, believe that in California, it doesn't just go like that. If he's one of your own people, it's easier to deal with. But if he's not, then there's going to have to be some discussions. Like, who does this guy think he is? But for the most part, everybody, even their own faction, will be like, what the fuck were you doing, Oz? You CNN or something? You Fox News? Who the fuck are you reporting to? You know, so there's different things that we out here in California that have done time. When we see the other states, we're just like, and it's, you know, it could go back to people, you know, watching this video and say, these dudes in California think they're the, you know, the shit, this and that. People are just very disciplined. You are not going to be allowed to bring heat on your cell because you have a cellie. Your stupidity can get him wrapped up in something, right? So you're not going to be allowed to bring heat to your cell, heat to your tier, heat to your pod, heat to your building, and heat to the yard. All of those things. That's why, you know, now I've been out 7 years. You know, things obviously have changed because they have released people. But I know when I was doing time, if you brought heat, you were going to get dealt with one way or the other. First, if somebody sees you, like, look at, you know, certain groups are allowed to argue with a cop. And they don't get a tongue lashing. If you're Mexican in California doing time and you start arguing with that gunner or you start arguing with the floor staff, the way they normally get down is the staff are going to go to whoever they feel is in charge. And they know motherfuckers be telling every damn day, especially dudes that are buying dope. A lot of dudes on the yard that are buying dope are dropping dimes because they don't want to pay and can't. That's a reality. But if somebody gets into it with a cop, the cop is going to go and get at that person's, we'll call it a channel. Excuse me, but, you know, so-and-so in cell, whatever, decided he wanted to cuss, you know, so-and-so out. And so I figured I'd get at you and hopefully this will be fixed. And somebody will go to so-and-so and tell him, hey, what happened? They're not going to just take the Jura's word, but they are going to ask everybody in the pod, everybody that was in the vicinity, hey, what happened there? And then it goes from there. You also got to remember, out here in California, a lot of these COs, they develop the gang mentality that they see around them. They come in with their hair combed to the side and, you know, clean shaven, and a year later they're sleeved down with a bald head and a big old mustache. They start learning, they start using the lingo that they're hearing around them. And so when you start arguing with a cop in the tower, he's the one that's going to be shooting when the incident occurs. So you want to get off on the yard, or your number's called and it's your time to perform under that gun, he might decide he saw a weapon in your hand. Because in California, there's no warning shots. There you go. If you're lucky, you live. You could be unlucky and live and have a shit bag the rest of your life. You could lose a limb. I seen a homie in Pelican Bay. His whole calf muscle had been shot off. About to look like he was walking on a broomstick. That's the reality. But getting back to, I think that's a very bold and don't take this the wrong way. I mean it by the definition of it. I think it's an ignorant statement to say that anyone in California has it easy. Some have it easier than others based on the way they push their politics, but I'm going to say the whites aren't one of those groups. But every group has their politics, and it can get ugly very fast within their faction, right? But this goes back again to why California has the politics that it does. You know, I heard somebody the other day, it was Hector Bravo from the Prison Guard channel. I heard him say that it is way crazier now in the California Department of Corrections than it was in the 90s. And then he said, but he wasn't around in the 90s. And I was around in the 90s. And I have to say there's some truth. But now with everyone out, you're not hearing about the riots. In the 90s, especially when they took conjugal visits, yards exploded. And you had several different prisons open up in the 90s. And so wars throughout the entire prison, all facilities were raging in the 90s. And so nowadays you have more in-house deaths. There are more people being unalived. I got to use that term because I use the R word so many times in this. There are so many people being unalived by their own factions right now. But there's always been in-house cleanups. So now, because of who's on the yard, it's just a little bit different because people want to be more impressive, right? But in the 90s, man, the California Department of Corrections was something else. You had riots happening all over the place. And I don't want to, I'm over here, I keep catching myself wandering off into the weeds because this video is really about how each faction has established their politics, and every faction observes, for the most part, everyone observes the borders and the rules of engagement. Today I'll be doing a Wes Watson video on the other channel, but he talks, he in his hypothetical world that he creates every video, or he used to when he talked about prison. He doesn't talk about prison anymore for the most part. He has made videos where he says he had to go and speak to another faction, another group. And while he was speaking to these other groups, he was cussing. And that's almost unheard of. To go and speak to another group about a serious issue, there's no way you're going to tell them, hey, your fucking homeboy's fucking doing this. And they're going to be like, what? And it's going to kick right there between you and him. And then his people and your people are going to follow suit because they're already watching. Everybody's on standby watching you guys talk, knowing there's an issue. So there's a lot of things that go on in California that are maybe to other states, they seem petty, but they actually safeguard a lot of people. They have the ability to alleviate a lot of stuff. I talk about when I had been in positions of responsibility. I should use that word more. When I had been in positions or shared positions of responsibility, I always made it a point when I would discuss issues with the blacks. When I would get that responsibility, I would go and introduce myself to them. The ones that I knew were their people with responsibilities on the yard, and I would let them know, hey, Holmes, if you ever need to get at, anything happens with, so and so, these people, you can holler at me. And I would make it abundantly clear to them. Listen, as long as I feel that you and I can communicate, we'll never have a war here. Never. We'll make money. You guys will be able to do your business. We'll do our business. But as soon as there's a breakdown in communication, that's usually when things get ugly. I never had an incident where I had responsibility where there was a race war. There was a racial riot. Never. It was always very good rapport. Things ran smooth. So hopefully that clarifies that statement, because I actually was gonna respond in the comments, and then I said, no, you know what, this is a good video because there are so many people outside of California that they hear about our politics out here. They hear about the California politics and they think it's petty, but they don't understand. They protect your people. They make lines of communication clearer, right? Who's going to be allowed to speak to who? You can't just have some cat that's got 6 years in the system talking to somebody who's in a responsibility position from another faction and trying to tell that dude what to do. Hell nah. There's a lot of things in place. But I wanted to clarify that. It would be foolish to think like the whites protect the whites. Nobody else protects them. Southerners protect Southerners. Northerners protect Northerners. The others protect us. That's the way the California Department of Corrections is. Anyways, I'll go ahead and bring this into a close. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, right? I'm out of here.